So I'll just go straight into it. We've talked about community and it being a bit of a buzzword, and I know in each of your presentations you just discussed this. Oh, that's way better. Thank you so much. But just in a few words, like how would you define community within a business?
Oh yeah, I'll go. I think I mentioned it sort of in when I spoke. I think to me community is singularly defined by safety, and then I think that kind of sprawls off in a lot of different areas, right? Safety to perform, safety to fail, safety to speak up. I think when you look at that across all kind of facets of life, I think it kind of represents community. Safety to be you, safety to turn up messy, good, bad, crying, ugly crying, all those sorts of things. And know that you're in an environment where people don't change their perspective on you because you've shown up in a certain way, I guess.
Yeah, I think community can mean so many things across different parts of the business as well, because it could be your team, your staff, whether there's 2 or 60. It can be your clients, your members. I used to work in oil and gas, and the community on an oil rig is something different. But it just shows up in lots of different ways, and it's kind of how you nurture it and make sure everyone is safe. And I think not everyone thinks about like their staff being a community, but should be your first and most important community, because when they're looked after and safe and happy, then the rest of your business is so much more successful.
Yeah, I think you guys summed it up. It's a safe space. It's somewhere that you come to feel heard, seen, listened to, understood. I think inspired as well. Like a lot of people forget that community, because it is human first, it's a really good way to meet other people who may be, especially career-wise, it might be people who are above where you are, beside where you are, etc. So I think just really defining, what are the kind of people in the room that you're building for as well. Like you're building for the humans now, but you're also building for like the humans that they're going to be in the future.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what about, like, you talk about systems, you talk about internal community, but also externally. How would you make sure that it's consistent across the board?
You can't. I think the best communities I've seen are the ones that organically grow themselves, and more often than not, you can't control that, because in the case of marketing club, you're seeing such exponential growth and such big growth. It's hard for you as a singular person or in a small team to control that growth and control where that narrative goes and where those things fly. And I think that's why I consistently go back to things you can control, like systems and things like that, things that reinforce culture, reinforce why you do the things the way you do them, and show people that there is a bigger picture here. There's more to this than just let's have some coffee and talk. Because when you start to really see your community grow, unfortunately, more often than not, you have no control of where that goes. You only have the control of the kind of internal systems that you can adapt to change.
It's quite scary, isn't it, as a business owner, having like a...
Business is scary. If you're not afraid of being scared, you're probably in the wrong room. So
I think it goes back to making sure that your culture is strong, because that way you can make sure it's your culture that's consistent across the board. When I worked at Montreal, we had different offices across different countries. We also did different events across different countries, and the marketing team was based at Wanaka, so we can always be in Canada or Austria. And we had local event or ride leaders on the ground, and they came, we found them from people we thought represented the Mons culture and really felt the ethos of the brand and the way they showed up and communicated and interacted with us. So we found people who we thought represented our culture and our community to take that to places we couldn't take it to.
Yeah, I'm always the worst one to answer a question like this, because obviously the marketing club has just gone into its own kind of atmosphere of, the kind of people it attracts and who it was created for. The only guardrail I had in place at the start was if you're a marketer, you're welcome in our community. And then basically just seeing how big it was going to build. And I think that's almost become our superpower now, is the fact that it's allowed community to build itself. And I think similar to what you said earlier, it is terrifying because you can lose control of it. Like, I've totally lost control of where it's going and how big it's going to get, but that doesn't scare me because I see how many different marketers are in our community. It allows us to diversify. It means we can have different conversations, we're attracting different people, and then that just means that the amount of things that we can do to bring value almost triples in size. So I think if you're trying to build a community that had a lot of guardrails in place, and that's really important to define, define what that community is. But at the same time, it's okay just to kind of like build the house and then see who comes in.
And somebody's asked, what strategies do you use to convert casual community participants into loyal advocates or paying attendees?
I don't know if I'd say it's a strategy, but basically, you know, because we operated for so long for free, it was basically how do we just validate what we do to so many people that then by the time we ask them to pay for it, it's not really a big ask. I think now, you know, moving forward in terms of scaling the business, because the reality is that I've now got a business on my hands, two technically with Australia and New Zealand. So it's really figuring out if we get people in, say for an event, what are we doing post-event to try and then get them into the community as a whole? Is it comms that we're giving them? Is it tailoring, you know, more events to that specific group? And then is there an industry segment that we're going after? But I think at the moment it's basically just spray pray, see what happens and then pick something to focus on from there.
I think it depends on the situation, but it's always about adding value. Any kind of marketing will say, you know, you have 8, 9, 16 touch points before someone becomes a customer, but it's working out what point on your customer's journey or your community's journey that you can add value to them and make sure that it's personal to them. So you can't just send them 100 emails and hope that that's useful. It's how you can find out more information about them, either using AI or data collection as to what they're interested in, why they're in your community, and what they find valuable about it. Because if someone loves dogs, you don't want to send them emails or like personalized or otherwise about cats. So it's working out how you can add value to your specific people.
No, that's great. And I think, Chanel, you mentioned about obviously being in New Zealand and Australia. Does it differ depending on place when building community, or are you building a community as a whole?
I don't think it differs, like especially Australia and New Zealand. I think if we were, say, building, you know, in New Zealand and Australia and then went into Singapore, then there's absolute nuances in terms of what we do, how we do it, the language that we use. From NZ to Australia was literally just copy paste, and that was because the community essentially did that. They were like, I see everything going on in New Zealand and now I want the exact same thing but bigger and better in Australia. And I think part of it is almost just language. Like, Australians are a lot more laid back. They kind of don't care about being pushed anything. They want to experience the value first. I think Kiwis are like that too, but Aussies are just a different breed of humans. If anyone's ever had a conversation with an Australian, it's a beer and a barbecue kind of thing versus a boardroom. So we just make sure in terms of our messaging sometimes, I suppose in terms of how it's different to NZ or AU, there's just a lot more casual, like come, have fun, see what happens, and then if you want to join, we'll have a conversation after. Whereas New Zealand, it's been a little bit more easy, and I mean maybe it's because we've been around in New Zealand longer, but it's been easier to kind of get everyone in and then be a little bit more targeted with how we talk to them.
Awesome. And what is the single most impactful feature or practice you use to turn first-time visitors into active community members?
Wow, these are big questions. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, of course. So what's the single most impactful feature or practice you use to turn first-time visitors into active community members?
Oh, I think, I think for me it's human connection, as soon as you possibly can on the journey. I think the longer you leave them talking to a computer screen or talking to a bot or talking to a chat thing or an email flow or whatever it is, you lose the humanity aspect of things. I think, like I was talking about before with systems, they're designed to remove the mundane thinking, not the humane thinking. And what I mean by that is, like I said before, so I built many systems before that would, you know, email you saying, hey, so-and-so's birthday is today, you should da-da-da, here's some info from their CRM about them or whatever. The humanity part of it is not the system sending it, because as consumers, we know what it's like to get automated emails and things sent to us. We're pretty good at knowing whether it's a real human or whether it's a computer system. You know, there's some very common things. Unless you're one of those really weird people when they build with spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes to make it look more human. I mean, that's kind of psychotic, but that's cool. I think having that humanity as early in the process as you possibly can will differentiate you from most businesses, because most businesses aren't doing that. They're relying on technology because they're going, we're too busy, we've got too much to do, our BAU is really busy, we can't. If you live like that, you're never going to have that engagement, because people crave humanity.
I think too, like Iona said in her presentation, the power of building your own personal brand before you go and build a community. Like, I definitely cannot claim the success of the marketing club without saying that my LinkedIn had a massive thing to do with it. Like, a lot of our initial marketing club members were purely just marketers that were following me on LinkedIn, trusted what I was saying, and then when it came to building a community, everyone's like, oh, well, I know Chanel, I know she's in marketing, I know she's in the industry, she understands it, now she's building a community, I like her as a human, so I'll join the community and see what happens. And that's literally now like the one way that I BDM for the marketing club. Like, more often than not, people find out about the marketing club either because they've seen someone post about it on LinkedIn at an event, they might have Googled it, or now ChatGPT is throwing us into the mix, which is amazing, or I've just connected with them on LinkedIn and told them about it. So I think when you build as a human first and then you go and build something else and people can attach you to that. I also make a massive effort to show up to everything that we do. So operating across Australia and New Zealand, it's becoming increasingly challenging to show up for everything. But a lot of people, like, if you, and I mean, I will die on this hill, but it is psychotically like time wasting. If you DM the marketing club, whether it's on our website, Instagram, or LinkedIn, like, that is me having the conversation with you. I have not automated it. I will manually DM every single person that comes to an event afterwards to thank them and send them a feedback form. I understand that is totally not scalable. I will kill myself until I have to give it up, but it is just that human impact that totally makes the difference.
No, I definitely agree with that, and you can tell when you're, I think, sometimes talking to a bot compared to talking to a human. And you just mentioned LinkedIn there, so you're very active on LinkedIn, aren't you? What would you say as a channel that LinkedIn can offer, and what should you really be posting to build your personal brand on LinkedIn?
I mean, I'm very honest on LinkedIn. If anyone here follows me, I think that was sort of how I started gaining traction when I first started, because no one was being very honest. That was more just out of frustration that when I found out about LinkedIn, it was a lot of CEOs and venture capitalists talking about their $1 million months, and I was like, this is just so shit and so far out of reach. Like, what does me showing up as a human on LinkedIn look like? That was unintentional. My content stood out because no one else was doing it. It wasn't a strategy, it wasn't a tactic. I just leaned into almost using LinkedIn as a personal diary. Now, obviously, that's built me a lot of momentum, which is amazing, but I think if you're getting started on LinkedIn or choosing to focus on it as a platform, there is so much noise on LinkedIn at the moment, and you can either choose to add to it or be a different part of it. And I think you have to lean into, humans connect with humans. So if you're coming on LinkedIn, tell me something about you, tell me a bit of your experience, share your day with me, share your wins, that sort of stuff. If you're just adding to the void of everything else that people are talking about, then you disappear so quick. And I think that, as much as it's really hard to be honest, like, I've shared a lot on LinkedIn that makes me want to vomit. But that's the thing that people connect with me, right? They're like, oh my God, she's so honest. This is actually a human talking to me, rather than me being like, oh, here's like some thought leadership on marketing that I probably just got off ChatGPT and everyone else is talking about.
And that involves like sharing mistakes, right? Like sharing things that you've learned from. So the next question is, can you share a mistake you made in community building and what you learned from it?
I mean, we're going through one right now. We launched our paid membership 2 weeks ago. We hadn't tested the website properly. The domain broke right after we launched the membership, and then we didn't talk about it for 2 weeks because the website was broken and there was no way of signing up. So a big thing I think for us is like, or even community building in general, when you put those systems and processes in place, test. I just moved so fast, I didn't bother testing things properly. I saw that they worked once and I was like, oh great, this is amazing, now we've launched. And I think I was so hyped up on the idea of launching something new, and we told so many people about it, that then when it broke, I was like, oh shit, Chanel, you didn't do what you're supposed to do first. But I think, again, the benefit for our community and the way that we've positioned our brand, no one expects perfect from us. When I started the marketing club, it was very much attached to me as a human because I had no idea what it was going to be, so I wasn't trying to position it as a different brand. I was just trying to position it as almost like a subset of me. And I think now I lean into that so much, and I'm so stoked that no one expects perfection from the marketing club, because then when we fuck something up like that, everyone's like, oh, it's so fine, you know, like stoked to be here, by the way. And it's been such a good thing, because when things break or things happen that aren't great, everyone's like, oh, classic, that's just them, that's so on brand. And I'm like, yes, that is us. But it takes that pressure off so much.
Yeah, I think so. We were talking about this earlier. Having events when you then don't have any like follow-up or next steps or anything. So you might think you know bringing your community into a room, but if your event doesn't have like a purpose and nothing happens after, people just show up, they maybe have a coffee, they go back to work, and they're like, that was weird, like killed an hour in a day, like who? So it's about having those like systems to know who's there, know what value you can give them, introducing to the right people, what's the point of them being there, and then afterwards making sure that they've got something out of it, but they've also got something out of what's next.
Yeah, biggest mistake building a community. One comes to mind. I don't want to ruffle feathers because this might hurt people's feelings, so please don't take it this way, because I myself am in this group of consumerism. We were building a platform and we gave the consumer way too much credit. We thought that they actually knew what they wanted. We thought that they were smart people. Most of us as consumers, like in real life we may be amazing. As consumers we're really dumb, right? We go, oh, pretty picture on a label, I want that now. Or, oh, that's got a little tree on it, it must mean it's environmentally, I'll buy that. As consumers we're really lazy and we're really dumb. Most of us, right? Generalization. So we gave them way too much credit. I was working with, some of you may know a company called Clearhead. I worked with them for sort of 4 years. A digital mental health platform, and we approached community and sort of said, okay, what do you guys need from this? What do you need from us? And they told us that they wanted more self-paced learning and the ability, to go online and get the resources they need. So we spent like 3 years or something building this entire self-made platform. It takes them through this journey. It's guided over like a year. There's so much AI in it. It's like guiding them and all this sort of stuff. We launched it, and the revenue in the company went backwards. People didn't want it. And we went, that's what they told us they wanted, that's exactly what they needed. And we realized very quickly that A, we gave the consumer way too much credit, but B, we suck at asking questions and we suck at listening. Understanding your community, understanding your people is not, hey, what's your name, how old are you, what's your dog's name, oh, that's really nice. It's going deeper than that. It's understanding why they do the things they do, why they crave certain things, why they need certain things. You need to go a lot deeper with your community and ask the right questions, because frankly people don't know what they want, right? Think about when the internet came out, when iPhones came out, all this. People thought, oh, no. People didn't know what it was, they didn't know they wanted it. These big, they were lucky, they took a risk going, people don't know what they want yet. People wanted a bigger keyboard on a phone. They didn't know that what they actually wanted was a complete touchpad, right? Just an example of something I'm trying to say, but that was a big mistake we made. Short story. Yeah.
How do you keep on top of that though? Because as humans, we change our minds a lot. So like,
you remember that you're also human, right? I think often as founders or as business leaders or as people in business, we think we're really important. We think we're really smart. We think we know better than everybody else because it's our baby. I built this business, right? So I look back, as I mentioned, when I was in high school, I ran a dairy-free ice cream and yogurt and business and things for a few years. And I thought I was the bee's knees. I was like, I know everything there is to know about FMCG. I know everything there is to know about being vegan and da-da-da-da, because I live and breathe it. It's my business. I gave myself way too much credit. And I think as business people, as founders, we need to understand we are also like a customer, right? If consumers are dumb and don't know what they want, do we actually know what we want and what we need to do? Be okay with making mistakes. That's why I sort of mentioned in that in my talk, don't fall in love with perfection if you want progress, because you will never get there. Be okay with making shit up. Be okay with falling on your face. That is business, right? And most people in this room who've been in business for years know that that's what business is. If you get it right every single time, you've probably cheated.
It's also using the data from your feedback loops to inform what your community want, and not just guessing, like Matt said.
Awesome. So I think this might have to be the last question. But how do you track meaningful engagement metrics that reflect genuine participation rather than vanity numbers?
So at Man Club, we track everyone that attends our events, and we have 30 a month, so then we kind of categorise them into well-being, tech, AI, whatever, and then we can see the kind of trends as to what our community enjoys coming to, or what days work for people, and then we also use like feedback surveys to find out what people are finding useful, but also what they want more of.
I think same for us, like we do a lot of post-event feedback to find out how did you find the event, is there something that we could improve on, what do you want to see from us next? Obviously from an engagement point of view, you know, if we're talking about social, that's really easy, like seeing are we getting commenting on our videos, are people saving what we do, are they sending it to each other? I think for us, like we see a lot of engagement just in person. You know, because we run so many events, that's kind of the metric. Like if I walk into a room of a marketing club event and everyone entered as strangers, and like it sounds so cliche, enter as strangers, leave as friends, but like if that's the vibe that's going on in the room, it's kind of like job done, that was the thing that we intended to do. And then you see everyone add everyone on LinkedIn, and then we all become part of this echo chamber because we went to this one event. So those are the kind of metrics that we focus on, and I suppose that's, you know, not necessarily like business metrics, because I've never seen us as a business, I've seen us as a community. It's only been in the last 2 weeks that I can literally claim legally that we're now a business because we've, you know, launched paid memberships and registered.
You were going to say something, Matt?
Yeah. I'm really bad at this. I don't want to ruffle feathers, so I'm sorry. I think, my opinion on community, you can't measure it, unfortunately. There is no KPI for community. It's a feeling, it's not a number, right? KPIs, my understanding of a KPI anyway is that it's built to measure a number, right? Whether that's views, engagement, time on site, whatever it is, those are clear KPIs, right? Those are things that are black and white, it's either good or bad. The problem with trying to put a KPI on community is your community can be thriving or it can be negative, it's still community. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A really weird way of thinking about it, but you know, yes, I could track the number of people who came to my events. Problem is, as someone like myself, I've been to hundreds of events over the years. I don't consider myself part of their communities, right? I'm not there. I've just turned up. So without giving a definitive answer, because I don't have one, I don't think you can measure community in a KPI format. I think it's a feeling, and it's something you either feel or you don't feel, and that's innately humane, and that's something that only you as an individual can feel. Very airy fairy woo-woo magic going on, but I think that's what it is. It's a feeling. It's either there or it's not.
Yeah. Are you one of those people in the group chat that lurks and doesn't say anything?
No, I'm not in the group chat. I normally leave them. I'm notorious, and I'll just say this now because we're all going to be plugging LinkedIn or whatever. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I probably have like 1,400 messages, 700 unread notifications. Like, I don't use social media. For anyone who's in the space, or for most of you in your jobs, you probably find when you go home after work, you don't want to do the thing that you do all day at work, right? You find most often, my brother was a chef, he never cooked for his family, he's like, I do it all day, I don't want to come home and do it for free. I spend most of my life in that space. I don't want to come home and not be paid to write posts for myself. But I'm a unique individual, so yeah, I'm a little bit different. I'm more of a, if we have a real connection and we've got a real community, you have my phone number, you can just call me. I don't need to be on social media.
That's nice, isn't it? An old-fashioned call.
I'm very old-fashioned. Yeah, I'm 26 going on 66.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Give me a round of applause.